What's up, guys? It's Justin. Hope you're doing well, and today we are once again talking about GrubHub, because if you watched my last video, you know I had crazy success on GrubHub, but I experienced one very consistent problem over and over and over again, and that was the orders not being ready when I got to the restaurant. Seriously, multiple times you guys saw me wait 10, even 15 minutes for the food, and that was incredibly frustrating. But the more research I did, I came to find that there was a very specific reason for that. So today I'm going to talk about why GrubHub takes so long, how you can combat that and try to make it more worth it for yourself, and whether GrubHub is still worth it with the long wait time. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, I'd really appreciate if you give it a like. That helps this video perform better with the algorithm. Same thing with leaving a comment. Literally comment whatever, your favorite color, your favorite food, or something relevant to the topic. I really don't care, but I appreciate it a ton when you guys do that. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because we are on the road to 500 subscribers. We are getting so close at this point, and when we hit 500, we're gonna do a 24-hour DoorDash challenge, and it's gonna be crazy. You're gonna want to make sure you're here for that. But with all of that said, let's dive straight into this thing. Okay, so the first thing we need to just talk about is, why does this happen? Because as I said, I pretty much waited at least 5 minutes and commonly waited 10 to 15 minutes for the orders at every single restaurant along my journey with GrubHub. In fact, the only restaurant that I did not have a wait at when I got to it was at an ice cream shop. Baskin-Robbins was the only place that had the food ready on time, and I'm pretty sure that's because they simply had to scoop 2 scoops of ice cream. But anyways, the reason from my research that I found for why GrubHub takes so long is that their dispatch service actually operates differently than apps like GrubHub or DoorDash. It appears to me that the way that GrubHub does it is that when the order is placed, they don't actually send it to the restaurant at that moment. They wait until it is accepted by a driver to then send it to the restaurant. And a lot of you guys know that this is very different than apps like DoorDash. A lot of you guys know or have seen that sometimes DoorDash bags will sit and wait and wait and wait in a restaurant, because if the customer didn't leave any tip, well, they already placed the order with the restaurant. They're just waiting for a driver to actually come accept the order, and with no tip, they're never going to do that. That's why bags sit forever at a place like Chick-fil-A when they didn't put a tip on the order. Now, on the other hand, GrubHub won't allow that to happen, because apparently they wait until a driver has actually accepted an order and is on their way to the restaurant to place that order with the restaurant. And obviously, I don't have to explain any further than that on why that creates such a wait time. If they're delaying that order at the restaurant by 5 or 10 minutes waiting to get a driver, well, then that's 5 or 10 minutes less than the restaurant has to cook the food before the driver gets there. So what happens? Pretty much every single time, you're probably going to wait if it's anything more than scoops of ice cream. That's really unfortunate. And the more research I did, the more I found that this seemed to be correct. Again, obviously this is slightly speculative, but every single person said that they experienced the same thing when they were driving for GrubHub. This is a consistently known problem, and I can't really explain why GrubHub would do this kind of thing, except for that maybe they want to avoid the food sitting and waiting for a driver to come pick it up problem that DoorDash sometimes has, but we've already addressed that. When you don't leave a tip on the food, that's what you get. So again, I don't know why GrubHub does that, but we kind of have to move on from that and see how we can combat that by using our own strategies to hopefully eliminate our wait times as much as possible. So I found 3 things that I think you can do with various degrees of success to hopefully wait as little as possible at restaurants when you're driving for GrubHub. The first of these is pretty obvious. It's to accept longer orders. If you guys watched the video, in my very first delivery, I actually got a Zaxby's order that I was sitting next to the restaurant, and I was incredibly excited about that. But what ended up happening was I waited longer at Zaxby's than just about any other restaurant, because obviously they didn't get the order until I was pretty much at the restaurant, and that's unfortunate. But if you accept longer orders, maybe one that's 5 or 10 miles and you're not super close to the restaurant at the start, that gives the restaurant more time to get the food ready before you get there. Now, it might not be ready when you get there, but obviously you'd rather spend that time driving, making more money on a longer distance than you would sitting at the restaurant just doing nothing. Typically, those shorter deliveries are for less money. There may be exceptions to that, but if it's a $5 delivery to go 1 mile, or you can do a $10 or $15 delivery to go 10 miles, you're gonna be better off if you're driving for more of that time and not wasting so much time sitting there, because you're gonna make more money. money. And of course, part of that's important in that theory is that the restaurant is not close to you. If it's 10 miles, but you're a 1/10 of a mile away from the restaurant and the last 9.9 miles is going to be driving to the customer, well, that eliminates that entirely, and you don't really get any bonus for having spent more time driving to the restaurant. But again, you just have to use your judgment on this one and figure out which orders are worth it based on the pre-existing knowledge that those orders are probably just now being placed, and that if you spend more time driving to the restaurant, you're going to spend less time waiting at the restaurant. Now that actually couples in with our second tip of the day, and that is to call the restaurant and let them know that you are on the way. I actually got multiple comments saying that people did this, and I also found it to be a very common practice among people on the internet, and I think this is an excellent idea. So what people will do is once they get this delivery, the second that they get it, they will call the restaurant and say, hey, I'm a GrubHub driver for so-and-so, and I am on my way. Just want to let you guys know and give you a heads up. That will hopefully get them to prioritize the order a little bit more. Obviously, there's no promises, but if you're spending the time driving over to the restaurant, there's really no harm in taking the time to call them as well and let them know that you're coming. And I do believe that if they were to get that call and know that you were on your way, that they would hopefully prioritize that a little bit more, especially maybe over another GrubHub or DoorDash order that they just received. So I think it's a great idea. Go ahead, call the restaurant, let them know that you're on the way, and then by the time you get there, at least they won't be surprised that you're there. One of the restaurants when I got there was shocked that I was there because they had literally just gotten the order when I walked into the restaurant, and that is very disappointing. But if I'd called them and said, hey, I'm on my way to pick up this GrubHub order for this person, and they said, that's funny, we actually don't have a GrubHub order for that person, well, I could have looked at the order and said, you know what, this order has 7 items in it, they don't even have the order yet, so chances are good that by the time I get there, it is going to take an incredibly long time. I could have dropped that order with that knowledge. So just go ahead. If anything, it's going to get you some helpful information when you call the restaurant, and I truly believe that it could speed up the entire process because they're going to prioritize you. And the third thing that I found, and this one, I'm not going to lie, is a little bit sketchy, but I can see how it could pay off big time, is to multi-app whenever you are doing GrubHub. And not just to multi-app, but to actually accept shorter DoorDash orders while you are waiting for the restaurant to get ready. And here's how that would work. If you were to get a GrubHub order and you were decently close to the restaurant, or even if you weren't that close to the restaurant, if you knew that it was going to take, 15, 20, 25 minutes before the food was going to be ready, you could actually accept that order, not head to the restaurant, accept a shorter DoorDash order, maybe one within 3 or 4 miles, go run that, and then go to the GrubHub restaurant, and assuming that the food is then ready on time. Now, I'm just going to put this disclaimer out there. I would probably not do this because a lot can go wrong. If you get caught up in your DoorDash order and things go wrong there and you hit traffic, well, all of a sudden you may be taking way too long to get to your GrubHub order, and at that point you can get penalized on your account, and a lot of things can happen that you don't want to happen. And of course, you could end up providing very bad customer service if the food is ready for a long time and you're not there to pick it up. We want to avoid that at all costs. But I do see the merit. If you know that food is typically going to take 20 minutes to get ready, you can do a quick DoorDash order in 20 minutes. And if you have the DoorDash app open and you see a quick delivery that's not only quick, but it takes you into the area of the restaurant, well, I don't know that there's a lot of harm in doing that, knowing that the food is probably not going to be ready in time. Now, I will say this, the GrubHub app is very specific on what step you're on at what time. It's not like Uber Eats where you just say, oh, got the food, I'm on my way out. You mark pretty much everything as you go. So you say, I'm at the restaurant, I have the food, I'm leaving the restaurant. So the app is tracking all of these things. And I do believe that GrubHub would penalize you if you were taking just an obscenely long time to get to the restaurants. So again, I'm not going to personally say, hey, you should go out and do this, but people online said they had a lot of success by running one DoorDash order before they went and picked up their GrubHub order. So what I will say is, if you're gonna do this, just be smart about it. And that brings us to the final question of, is GrubHub still worth it? Well, I would certainly say so. If you guys watched the last video, you know I made a ridiculous $37 an hour over the course of 3 hours. Now, I will say that was with one of their challenges that was active, where if I completed 7 deliveries in the course of 4 hours, I would get a bonus $35, and that comes out to an extra $5 per order, which is crazy. But even with the wait times, again, sometimes I waited 15 minutes for the food, I was still able to easily complete 8 orders in 3 hours. So it wasn't even close. The app was incredibly busy, and I didn't have any problems getting those deliveries dropped off quickly. And because of that, I was able to smash through that challenge so fast, and that made it incredibly worth it. Again, even with long wait times, I made $37 an hour, and I wasn't employing any of these strategies that I talked about today. I didn't know, but now you know that that's something that GrubHub does, and you can be ahead of it and use these strategies to hopefully make even more than $37 an hour. Seriously, if one of these challenges comes up again, I think I could realistically make $40 an hour if everything goes right, and that is crazy. So is GrubHub worth it? Absolutely. You just have to know what you're doing when you're driving, and even if you don't, you might still make a ton of money. But now you do know because you watched this video, so thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, again, all I'll ask is that you please smash that like button. It helps the channel out a ton. Go ahead and subscribe for that 24-hour DoorDash challenge. We are almost there, folks. Again, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.